Hello and welcome, everybody. It's wonderful to be together again here for Block 4 and 5 of the Global Forum. If there are any of you who are joining us for the very first time today, welcome. We invite you to fasten your seatbelt and just dive right in. And for those of you who are returning, having been here yesterday, we trust that you're finding your way now around Hopin and Zoom. And for everybody, there's an opportunity to access everything you might have missed or anything you might like to watch again through the recording replays that are available now on archive in the event guide. That includes learning journeys that you might have missed yesterday. But most of them are up already, thanks to the hard work of the behind the scenes tech. And you can watch those in your own time and pace. So just to position us where we are now, the path that we have traveled so far in this forum, in Block 1, we lit the fire, landing deeply in place and in time with the Whadjuk Noongar elders of Western Australia. And in Block 2, we began to paint some deep and broad brush strokes in a session called Transformative Possibilities. Looking at a systemic level with collapsing outer walls and beginning to recognize collapsing inner walls to bring us into greater meaningful connection. In Block 3, we began to look at some of the signs, some of the seeds of the future, moving from a big macroeconomic picture into a deep dive learning journey where we gain some inspiration and maybe some courage around real-time action, real-time examples of people who've simply taken their vision and their passion in their hands and are activating change in a variety of different locations and fields of influence. And these were the learning journeys that we had the honor to participate in yesterday. Which brings us to now, Block 4, where we turn our focus a little bit onto our own individual fields of possibility, our own spheres of influence for activating change. And how we're going to do this is to take one of the learning journeys from yesterday as an example that we can follow. And we'll be using the rich creative possibilities of what we call the social arts. And for that, I'll call on Arowana to invite us a step deeper into that.
Thank you so much, Marian, and I'm so happy to see everyone again. So this session is really about the co-creation of a good society on this planet Earth, in harmony with the Earth and all other beings. And we explore this through awareness-based social art, as Marian said. And our colleagues today, this has been an ongoing conversation with many of us and others about what actually is the role of art in society making, in co-creating, knowing that every one of us gets up every day and is co-creating society. That's what we do. We co-create social reality. And some of that is conscious and some of that is unconscious, but society is made from our own heartfelt gestures in the world. So we use the art practice in this way of exploring what that creative process is for all of us. The assumption here is that everyone is creative and everyone is inventive and everyone can work together going forward. So we're saying that from this, that part of social art is a sense that it's not about one individual soul brilliant person, which is wonderful, of course, but that it's about how all of us together can actually create something. And that what we make is not only a reflection of the society, of the social, but comes forth from the questions, the wisdom, the heart knowing, and the painfulness of what it is to be a human being. So even though all of us here are in our social arts team are in different media, the Kelby's wonderful work and the scribing and visual art, the music, musicians in our group and the poets, as well as those of us that work more in embodiment and in the making of something that we call the sculptures, social sculptures of our life and work, all of us have this reflection quality of what is it that we can make together that not only reflects society, but then is something that can inspire or can empower others to move forward. So I think the other aspect, which is already hinted at, is that it's very much about how to be of benefit. It's not so much an art that says, you know, I need to express myself here, which is also wonderful, but it's what is it that can actually mirror back, help us to sense and to more clearly see the world that we live in and who we are as human beings together. It comes from a ground of appreciation of our life. And it comes from a ground of what we were touching into earlier, the painfulness of life, the fact that we all feel the heartbreak of what is going on the planet. And we want some way of contributing our own heartfelt care and compassion in this world. It also, I wanted to end by saying that it is a doing. It gets us out of thinking and talking. It's a doing process that links a vision with our kind of everyday life. Somewhere we can try out and do something. And yesterday I was so moved in the social capital. I went to the social capital learning journey that both Mitzi and Sika talked about themselves as artists. They were trained as artists and spoke about the importance of design in their work in changing the economy and their thoughtful work on finance. So it's somehow in our bones that we all are designers, we all are movers, we're all vision makers, envisioning. So we'd like to open this session to let us jump into these practices that both help us to have a deeper understanding of the questions that we're asking and concerns, and also provide some confidence in stepping forward and acting and actually making the society that we want. So we would like to start our process with Manish and a story and some questions. And so I'd like to turn it over now.
Hello, everyone. I am Manish Srivastav from India. I met some of you yesterday in the main session as well as in the learning journey, which was about the condition of migrant laborers in India. And I would like to share with you a story about how social art is helping me and my community in understanding our situation better and transforming our angst into compassionate action. So let me start with giving a little context. India has 139 million migrant laborers. These are poor people who travel thousands of kilometers from villages. They come to cities to earn a livelihood. They work as construction workers, maids, gardeners, cleaners, and servants. They come to cities with a dream, with their dreams, and often they end up in urban slums with very less or no welfare. And rest of us have been okay with this. We have been okay with them being a social cost to our development. However, pandemic happened. Pandemic happened and it threw all the shadow out. Suddenly, these 139 million people had no job, no house, no place to stay, no food, and 23 million of them started walking back to their villages, thousands of kilometers on foot, at times barefoot. They were men, women, and children. There were parents carrying their toddlers in their hands. These images, if you see, will break your heart. There is no other way. And it's only a tip of the iceberg. Because if you look down, you will find an economic system that has failed us, that keeps villages impoverished, so we have surplus of cheap labor in the cities. If you dig a little further, you will find what Dana and Otto said yesterday, that we have created structures of violence that keep so many people locked in intergenerational misery. Our data is 2/3 of them come from historically marginalized communities and races, more than 2/3. And at that level, this story is no more a story of India, it's a global story. There are marginalized communities who are suffering at the bottom. And at the top, there are policymakers who at times do not have clear understanding of what's happening at the bottom. And they are overwhelmed. And then we have middle class, people like you and me, who feel the angst and who feel helpless and are often stuck in their own reality. So just like you, somewhere in early April, I took a learning journey, like some of you took yesterday, and I came across this pain. I could not sleep for a couple of nights. And I ended up writing a poem. Later, I reached my friends from social arts group, Arvana, Engla, Olaf, and they helped me to understand my role as a co-creator of this painful pattern. I was curious, where is the agency in me, in the migrant laborer, in the policymaker? And this engaging in social art helped me see something differently. And what we did was we embodied these roles, the roles I talked about, and we allowed it to move from where it is, the current reality, to an emerging future where it longs to go. In some way, it helped me transform my angst into compassionate action. And I would like you to join me to see a part of this journey now and see if it is your journey too. Maybe you are in this system too somewhere. Because at a personal level, it is a journey of India, but at a collective level, it's everybody's journey. So we will show you a video that we co-created when we did this process, and I will share you a few things after that. Can you play the video, please?
A soul, unknowingly born in a world so broken and so inhuman, crushing his innocence with structural inequity that you and I create and endorse every day. Their pandemic is not COVID. It's the fragmented society, failed governance, fake capitalist dream, and heartlessness of people like us, residing in the top slots of the pyramid, unaware of the collapse at the bottom.
we have to hold this together and preserve and preserve.
I am locked in my small world. I'm afraid to look out.
There is no place for me here. I'm feeling so sorry for the dream I got into.
If I feel the fear will make everything fall apart.
I see so much more now. But I'm still holding on because I'm afraid to lose what I have. But I see you.
I can see you reaching. But this is my place. And perhaps I can help you hold it from here.
I see big black claws.
I feel the claws are shaking.
I see a figure emerging from a tent and looking out into space.
I feel the wounded warriors giving way to the new.
I feel there's care coming from the side. The white structure is giving care and hugging the troubled structure in the middle.
There is a home. There is a home in every heart. There are these moments when you see something deep within, and they're so tender, and I still feel the tenderness while I'm seeing it after I've seen it many times. And it still reveals something beautiful to me. And just want to close this part that after seeing this, after participating in this activity, it shifted the way I engaged or thought about migrant laborers. Embodying them, I could feel their spine and I could feel the strength. And they are the ones who had most agency. In fact, they were feeling compassionate for the policymaker. And the other thing that moved, later we discussed, other thing that moved most of us was the presence of consciousness, the artist. And when I had a glimpse at the little house coming up in the image, it did something to me. And that helped me move. And that gave us as my community a clarity, two things. One, focus on regenerative economy, where the migrant belongs, rural economy. And second, bring art at the heart of our conversation. And I'm so grateful to my team here who has helped me to so tenderly to come to this realization. Thank you. And over to Angela.
Thank you, Manish. Thank you for sharing your story and what you felt before and after this process. Arwana talked about getting out of the thinking into the doing, and we will do that in a while, all of us. But to prepare us for that, I invite all of us for also a creative process of journaling. Just take any piece of paper you can find or your journal and a pen and trust your hands. Listen to yourself and what wants to be written down. It doesn't need to be a perfect sentence. It's just important that you receive a message from yourself. It will be 3 questions only, and we are starting now. Reflecting on my experience in this journey of the forum so far, what touched or inspired me the most? Reflecting on my experience in this journey of the forum so far, what touched or inspired me the most? And question 2. What clues or messages does it have about my own life journey at this moment in time? What clues or messages does it have about my own life journey and work in this moment of time? And the last question, number 3. Building on the insight that Arowana said at the beginning, that we are all art makers of society, where do I feel the urge or impulse to create something new? Building on the insight that we all are art makers of society, where do I feel the urge or impulse to create something new? I invite you now to hold on to these insights, hold on to what you surfaced just now, and bring them into the creative work that we are going to do in a few minutes. We will have 4 different ways of engaging with the arts today. It will be one group working with social poetics, with poetry. One group will be working with visual work, visualization with Calvi, and one group will work with music with Tony, and one group will work with social presencing theater. And I invite now each of those all of them are led by groups, but only one will present just briefly what we are going to do in these 4 parallel working groups. Calvi.
Yes. Thank you, Angela, and thanks everyone, Arowana and Manish already for what you've shared. It's just so moving, and it reminds me why I'm doing what I'm doing, so thank you. So the session on visual practice will be specifically around systems scribing, which is an intersection between systems thinking and scribing, which comes in at particular parts of the U and is useful specifically around helping systems sense and see themselves, and also with crystallizing ideas into action. And we will also be thinking specifically about how to facilitate our way through the transformation of the shadow and bridging the 3 divides, as Otto referenced in the beginning. And we will be drawing. So if you come, you can draw on anything. It can be a Post-it note, very small, or in your journal, or on a tablet, or on the wall, but be prepared to draw. And if you'd like to sit in and you're not drawing, that's okay, but there will be a drawing exercise during the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Calvi. Sounds exciting. The other group will be working with words. That's John who is going to introduce that. John Stapley.
Thank you, Angela. Hi, and Kai from Whadjuk Noongar country in Western Australia. So we'll be working with social poetry, and the root word of poetry is poiesis, which literally means to make or to create, which is exactly what we'll be doing in the spirit of a creative, social, poetic laboratory. Whereas philosophy seeks to perceive new thoughts and new ideas, poetry has to do with the perception of new images, new metaphors, new pictures, and then relate those to the word. And we'll be doing that through individual and collective perception of images of our current moment. And then we'll see what those images reveal to us also about the emerging future. The track itself will be in English, and I'm very grateful, and I thank you all for speaking English during the Global Forum as a whole. But if you wish to join and English is not your mother tongue and you'd like to write in your mother tongue, we'll also do our best to make that work as well. This kind of work also and always requires new beginnings. So beginners of all levels are welcome. Everyone's creative and everyone is a poet. Bring along your journals and your pens. Thanks, Angela.
Wonderful, John. The same applies to all of the tracks. Don't be shy, just start, be a beginner, try it. Tony, you are going to work with music in your track. Can you explain a little bit what that's going to be?
Hello, everyone. Here's Tony. As you know, I've been playing piano in a lot of these sessions. I'm a musician. So our session is supposed to feel like a global collective improvisation. We have invited 5 guests from different parts of the world for them to play briefly their instruments and share some stories about their musical journeys and maybe about the role of that instrument or about the role of music in their cultures. And after hearing from all 5 guests, we will try to do a sort of collective improvisation, resonance. If you happen to play an instrument, you can bring it and you can play something on the spot if you are called to do so. You can also sing, or you can also resonate with words after we have heard from the different guests. So join this jam session, this improvisation, and if you're excited about music, it's maybe your channel. Thank you.
And last but not least, there will be a group working with the social presencing theater. And Laura is going to introduce that work to us.
Thank you, Angela. And as Marian was saying, we will explore through social arts our own fields of possibility to activate change. And in this case, with social presencing theater, we will do that through the body, from the body. And so social presencing theater is kind of making visible the collective intelligence through the body. And we will use embodied practices to explore the seeds of the future in ourselves. First, with others in the breakout in little breakout groups, forming this social body that we are part of, and also as co-creators, as art makers of society. So you don't need any previous experience here with your body. We invite you to find the embodied artist within yourself and just explore with us.
Thank you, Laura. So we have 4 opportunities to go into the doing, into the exploring, and I invite you to choose either what you feel called to, or even maybe also what you are most frightened of. Either way, the invitation is to just do it and reflect on it afterwards. Don't be shy, just do it. There's a little bit of technicalities as to how to get to these groups. I think everybody has already seen in the chat the Zoom links where to go to if you choose this or that track. So it will be a little bit messy probably until everyone has found their right spot. And maybe a thought to that, maybe if you don't end up where you intended to end up, it might be as well the perfect spot for this day, for today, for this experience. So don't be afraid wherever you end up to just go with the flow. Enjoy and find your way. You can ask in the chat if you're having troubles with something. It's 1 hour for the work in the tracks, and we will meet back here again together after that.
forum.
Hello, everyone.
Can I share the present that I received from someone of the ULab community around the world? A woman, I don't remember the name, shared with me a strawberry, and she told me that the seeds in the strawberry are outside. It's a very special fruit. The seeds are outside, and when you cut the strawberry, there is a big heart. So she gave me this wonderful present, and I want to share this present with all of you to spread all the seeds of the strawberry around the world. Thank you.
And a Northeast indigenous considers the strawberry to be the eagle berry, the first berry.
Thank you so much. That's a beautiful image. What a gift, talking about strawberries and bringing gifts. And I think that's what we will do now. We will harvest the gifts that we have received in last 1 hour. And it's a beautiful journey. And one thing I really value, the way you talked about the strawberry and the fruit, one thing I really value about social art is that there is something beautiful about us coming together and creating something from our hearts. And that just the process itself is magical. And to me, it is healing. It is beautiful. And it does two more things, as you saw in my story that I shared with you earlier. One, it gives us some insights about ourself and our work. And two, it also makes me more clearer about who I am and what is my role in the ecosystem. Sometimes that insight lands very quickly and very directly, but often it comes as little signals or small gestures, subtle signs that I must contemplate on. And I was thinking about it, personally, doing this work is like entering an ancient mystical marketplace where you have wizards and witches who look like Arvana, Kelvi, John, Laura, Angela. They are all around. And there are many mystical symbols and objects, but there are those that are just meant for you. Those that you most need in the moment. A feather, a stone, a talisman, maybe a mirror, maybe a door. When you zoom into that, everything else dissolves. So likewise, let me guide you through an inner harvest process so you can pick what matters most to you from last 1 hour. So please join me, sit relaxed. You can relax in your chair a bit. And if you can, if you would, please close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths. With each breath, imagine yourself entering depths of your heart. And now imagine yourself at the beginning of your track, your social art track, an hour back, 1 hour back. Imagine yourself at that point when you were starting a journey with music, social presencing theater, poetry, or visual art. And let the whole hour fast forward in front of you. Imagine the whole 1 hour, all that happened is going fast forward in front of you while you sit still, noticing what resonated most with you. What caught your attention? It may be an insight from within, or an inspiration that came from other person. It may be some reconfirmation of what you already know, or something new that surprised you. Just pick one or two things that resonate most with you. And if you will, you can also make a hand gesture of picking. So it's really embodied. Make a hand movement and see what comes from this 1 hour beautiful experience. Now you may slowly open your eyes and write what message you picked on a piece of paper or in your journal. What new message I have got about myself or my role in the ecosystem. Sometimes this message or what we pick is sometimes deeply personal because it was your journey. Sometimes it's a bigger message which can be shared. So I will not ask you to necessarily share it now, but do write it, what is getting clearer for you, for yourself. And you can turn it into an artifact if you want. Make a bookmark, cut it, make a bookmark, roll it, make a scroll, and keep it with you. I still have these ones from the journeys like this that I have taken. This is 6 or 7 years back. This is 2-3 years back. I still keep them. They're on my altar because these are the moments when I met my future self. These are the moments which are kind of portal into the future. I still open it, read it, and zoom, I'm transported into that ancient mystical marketplace. So whatever that means for you, you have just taken a beautiful journey and you've connected with some seeds of your future, some messages. And this would be very helpful. This clarity, this message would be very helpful as we move into next part of our journey in the next block. And I would now invite Otto to guide us to create a little bridge for us to the next block. To you, Otto.
Thank you, Manish. And what I want to do is really to maybe on behalf of all of us express my appreciation to the social arts team kind of for the experience you have been taking us through. Really landing it in our body and in around our bodies. I like the Maria, what you said, the seeds of the strawberries are outside. And the outside is in the social field, right? So and that's kind of why this practice we just went through allows us to become aware of these emerging seeds. So the sentence, so yes, it is very personal, but Manish, so when you took us into the mystical marketplace, kind of the sentence that was landing for me really throughout this exercise of the past hour or so is just 3 words. We are here. And that gives me a lot of confidence and hope for what's ahead of us. And I want to, in closing this, I want to loop it back to Arana's words at the beginning of this session. Arana, you spoke of the co-creation of the good society. We all are the art makers of society. We are the artists of that sculpture. And the truth is, we saw that yesterday. We saw that through the really moving case, Manish, that you were sharing with us. The old system is broken. COVID showed that. 139 million migrant workers in India alone. So the old system is broken. And also the old substance of keeping society together is dissipating. So our work really is to step more fully into what Arana was talking about, co-creating the good society, co-creating a field of connection that is generative, not toxic. And maybe that is the most important artwork and the most important sculpture of our time, the social sculpture, by which we mean the sum total of relationships that we have with each other, that we have to Mother Nature, and that we have with ourselves. And that's what sometimes we also call the social field. So a lot of what we try to do is to activate the generative social field. And there's no way of doing that without the centrality of the social art practices in making that happen. So when we zoom out further a little more, and I will close with that, we can say that sometimes, so the work we are doing together here is contributing to the co-creation of the good society, right? Kind of to societal transformation by also prototyping, if you want, the new university that sometimes we call the School for Transformation, the U School for Transformation. And to do that, we need to integrate 4 core elements: science, art, social arts, profound societal transformation, and consciousness. Consciousness meaning realigning attention and intention on all levels of scale. Shifting our awareness from ego, just seeing my own silo, to eco. Connecting with, seeing through the eye of all the beings that are surrounding us, as Dr. Noll put it at the close of the first block. So my gratitude for the social arts team for creating this space for all of us. And with that, we take a 30-minute break and we'll reconvene here in the same place at the top of the hour, or in India in 30 minutes from now.